a very big welcome to everyone, and good morning to you all. Well, it's really a good morning. It should be a good morning to those of you in the Eastern time zone. And I know that some of you, it should really be a good afternoon or a good evening. Just last night, I checked the registration list, and before we went on air again, and it was obvious that there are a number of people from all over, from Africa, Ethiopia, Zambia, Nigeria as well, and then also some people from Mexico and Europe. So whichever time zone that you are in at this particular time, we are so delighted. We are so glad that you could join us. My name is Michael Ngadi. I'm a professor here at McGill University. I lead some of the international projects that is led here by McGill. And it's a great pleasure for me to co-host this event with my esteemed friends and colleagues, also from McGill, Dr. Eliane Obalijero, whom I have known for several years, and Dr. Ebenezer as well. Dr. Ebenezer manages a number of our international projects, large international projects related to food processing and nutrition, energy as well, sustainability. And Dr. Obalijero is a high-class, first-class scholar. Apart from her appointment here at McGill, she is also the Deputy Executive Director at Gordon. Now, for some of you who may not be familiar with Gordon, Gordon stands for Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition, a fantastic organization that is doing a great job across the world. And I'm so delighted that I could do this with Eliane and Ebenezer. Now, there is also Patrick. I don't know whether Patrick has joined. Patrick Koteboa, who is the Managing Director of our Institute for Global Food Security, and he will be joining at some point. So welcome again. It's great to do this. Now, I would start off with a number of housekeeping stuff, just to kind of, for you to know how today will go, proceed. There will be three fantastic speakers that are ready to go. We will be introducing them later. Very impressive bios, and we're really delighted that they have accepted to bring certain perspectives to the idea of nutrition-sensitive agriculture data gathering and monitoring. So, so they will be making presentations, and then right after each presenter, we will take some limited questions, and then there will be a break after the second speaker. Then the third speaker. After the third speaker, we will have an interactive question and answer Q&A session. So if you have questions and you are not able to ask those questions right after the speaker, so you should know that there will be opportunity for us to interact and brainstorm about some of the topics and some of the comments that the speakers will be bringing. I'm sure that there will be interesting discussions, and we are looking forward to that. I think just to put this in perspective, I guess, this is something that we have been thinking about for quite a while, and I'm glad that it is really taking off right now. if you look at the UN SDG, it recognizes the need for better nutrition, right? Better nutrition among different populations. The SDG number 2 in particular aims to end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and sustainable agriculture. Now, but then doing this, improving nutrition, definitely goes beyond one particular SDG, right? Alone. It is linked with the other SDGs. And then also, we do know that nutrition can play indeed a very transformational role in terms of driving sustainable agriculture. So then making progress in nutrition does, we know, have very positive, wide-ranging consequence on improving the health and then and moving people towards ending poverty. Now, a number of governments, organizations, donor agencies, development organizations as well are now committed to supporting nutrition sensitive agriculture in order to achieve their development goal. But the thing though, that we also know that in order to do this, it has to be put in the context of agriculture, because right now we know that agriculture has the greatest potential to impact nutrition and impact the accessibility, the availability and accessibility of food. But the question has been, how do we design an effective and optimized program that would that would better reach those objectives? So about 2 years ago, IFAD funded a project leading to friendly matrices for measuring and monitoring nutrition sensitive agriculture, which we are fortunate to lead. So, but then, and there has been some interest there and some of the work that we have done. So this webinar, or this interaction is coming out directly from that effort for us to better understand what are the most effective pathways that can be used to mainstream nutrition into agriculture. And today you will be hearing people that are well established in that field, people that have not only the background, but also the experience to actually make impact in this field. So it's my pleasure then to kick things off now with Ficado Rita. And Ficado has been in the mainstream of things in nutrition in Ethiopia. He is an assistant professor in Hawassa University, a beautiful university. I have the privilege to have visited his university, and he is in the faculty in the College of Agriculture, Human Nutrition in the university. He obtained his first degree from that university. And then he is currently pursuing his PhD program in human nutrition at the University of Ghent, which is in Belgium. His research interest is on role of farmers cooperative to sustain homegrown school feeding programs. He is also a leading nutrition-based, or he's also currently leading nutrition-based large projects funded by the USAID and the NUFIC, which totals over about 2 million euros. So he is also teaching agriculture and nutrition in the University He is also working as a communication focal person for a newly started Ethiopian Nutrition Leaders Network. Fikado is among the founding members and currently manager of the Youth and Education Support Services in Ethiopia, which is called Yes Ethiopia. He is very proactive with special interests related to youth empowerment. He values teamwork and mission towards inclusive and sustainable development. So, colleagues and friends, it is my pleasure to invite Fikado Rita to start things off this morning with his presentation. So, Fikado, it's a pleasure to have you, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Gadi, for this very nice introduction. And I'm really excited to join this presentation. Good morning, everybody, from where you are. I'm Fakadu from Hawassa University, and I'll be discussing with you for the coming 20 minutes, like about issues related to what methods are we using now to assess nutrition impacts of agriculture interventions, and also we'll discuss about some of the gaps we observed so far in relation to this agenda, because nutrition, as you know, is a very important program, an important agenda for the world, for the human kind in general, even to fight this coronavirus. As you know, it's our immunity, our nutritional status that can fight, that can help us survive. So I'm happy to share with you our experiences from Ethiopia. And yeah, thank you for hosting me. I have a few presentation slides. Please let me know if you can see my slide. I'm just starting to present current methods of assessing nutrition impact of agriculture projects and gaps observed. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll be briefly discussing about why is nutrition important, also about nutrition sensitive agriculture, how nutrition sensitive agriculture projects have been measured or evaluated so far, what gaps we observed, and way forward that we can work on together in the future. Before I start, I'll be glad to mention about the role of Hawassa University in relation to nutrition programs in Ethiopia. I came to Hawassa in 2001, and I graduated in 2005. And I remember in 2007, there was a need assessment to start the first nutrition program in the country. And I was part of that need assessment team, and I realized that my country was behind in a lot of ways in relation to nutrition. So it's only during the last 10 years that Ethiopia started the first nutrition training program at Hawassa University. So I'm really happy to share with you the progress we have so far in relation to assessing and addressing nutrition-related gaps. So why is nutrition important? Usually people sometimes take nutrition only as problem of undernutrition. People associate nutrition only with Africa or with only low economy families. But the reality is nutrition is one of the biggest challenges we are facing in the world, both in terms of undernutrition and also overnutrition. As you see, 45% of child deaths are associated with undernutrition, whereas 41 million of 57 deaths during the 2016 were associated to non-communicable diseases. So this is a very big cost to the world that we should really pay attention towards. And what should be done? Okay, we understand now this is a big problem that we are facing, but what should be done? There are two major strategies recommended. The first is nutrition sensitive interventions, and the second is the first is nutrition specific interventions, while the second is nutrition sensitive interventions. The nutrition specific interventions are short-term interventions which are directly targeted in addressing the causes of malnutrition. For example, giving food aid for people who are facing food shortage or drought can be the most recommended kind of intervention, whereas the indirect way of addressing the problem of malnutrition in the long term is to use nutrition sensitive interventions. For example, supporting agriculture production or promoting community education and awareness creation. So, so nutrition sensitive agriculture is an indirect or a long-term approach to tackle the problem of malnutrition from its root by production of nutritious foods and the like. But commonly agriculture was seen as only increasing production or generating revenue for farming families. But increasing production and having a lot of money didn't actually prove to be enough to liberate families out of malnutrition. Why? Because high food production doesn't necessarily mean adequate intake, because of knowledge, because of culture, because of different problems. And so in addition, the foods that people take or consume might also lack very essential nutrients, or production might not also be based on local needs. For example, in Hawassa area here in southern Ethiopia, there is a big production of cash crops. But these cash crops, for example, chat, which is an addictive kind of crop, is not what families, especially mothers and children, are consuming. So producing a lot of food or having a lot of cash does not necessarily mean having a very good nutritional status for families. And on the other hand, you can also see this, the lifestyle related issues, like as we come to the urban communities in Ethiopia now, prevalence of overweight, obesity, non-communicable diseases are really increasing at a very fast rate. And one of the major reasons is this sedentary lifestyle. So nutrition sensitive interventions in general should address the really basic causes for malnutrition. So agriculture is nutrition sensitive when it goes beyond food production to addressing the underlying causes of malnutrition. That is like the very easy way to put it. So I just would like to propose these two examples. One example where agriculture intervention aimed at increasing egg production by 80% in 2 years, whereas the second targeting agriculture production aimed at reducing maternal and child nutrition by 80% through production of eggs. This is very clear example about nutrition sensitive and non-sensitive interventions. For a project to be nutrition sensitive, there should be a clear indicator for a nutrition target. This is what I wanted to indicate here. So what are the methods we use to assess or to evaluate agriculture interventions? Dietary indicators or dietary methods are the major one, which I would like to discuss in detail about. These are 24-hour record, food frequency, weight record, and dietary history. We say weight record, recording foods eaten by individuals every time is like relatively the best method. But it's not best when we actually go to the field and look at, for example, the situation of life of families in rural Ethiopia. Or 24-hour recall, which is based on remembering what has been eaten by a given person or family members during the past 24 hours by itself is one of the options we could use. Still is open for recall bias and social desirability biases. So it's very important to take into account when we take different methods for assessment. We need to understand the potential benefits and also the challenges or the gaps within each methodology. I'm going very fast, maybe through question and answer will come back to it. And the other indicator we could use is change in anthropometric or biochemical indicators. As we all know, all the food we eat is meant to make our health and our body better. There should be a progress or a change, either in terms of physically measuring our anthropometry or in terms of biochemical indicators of nutrition. For example, if we are targeting iron deficiencies, then there should be a visible change in hemoglobin content in our blood. So there are different methods that we could use based on the type of project, also the research aim and the potential impact we want to make at the end. But let's focus on, for example, I think an example from Ethiopian culture. Like the picture I display here, it's called bayanet. It's one of the very common menus we eat here in Ethiopia in most parts. But usually it's very common to eat from the same plate. Like 7 people are eating from a single plate. Now, these are the challenges we face as nutrition people or as people engaged in evaluating the impact of agriculture or any other interventions that would target nutrition, how much is eaten by a single person is always a challenge. This might not be the case in other countries, but in Ethiopia, especially if we go out to the villages, it's very common to share a dish from a single plate. So these are like some of the issues that I would like to highlight in relation to dietary assessment. Also, diet diversity score that we have for children, for women, or for households, which is kind of a proxy indicator for intake of micronutrient-rich foods or overall consumption of food from families. But the major challenge we face here is also recall bias, and that people eat from the same plate, or people forget what they ate, or sometimes they over or underestimate their reporting. It's difficult to know exactly how much people are eating because they have to report, they have to recall from past 24 hours. This is the most commonly used indicator for agriculture interventions. But the other is the biochemical sample collection, for example. Imagine we want to work on iron deficiency anemia to improve nutritional status of mothers. But to conduct these kind of studies, we need to have a very good laboratory machine, a very good laboratory staff, also stable electricity, and a possibility to travel to the field in villages and like manage to bring blood samples non-coagulated, and it's not very easy. So it's very important to consider all these things because these are the available methodologies, but still with potential errors to be made. So what are the other indicators for improving, measuring the impact of nutrition interventions from agriculture? Change in knowledge and attitude. This is really very important because a lot of the problems we observe in the country are not only because of lack of food, but because of lack of understanding, because of lack of attitude, the right attitude about taking care of their health. Change in agriculture production, income from farmers, improving food prices, minimizing water hygiene and sanitation, natural resources and water resources, rehabilitation can all indicate indirectly about the progress being made because of agriculture interventions toward this nutrition. Also, change in decision-making and income and empowerment of women, household food insecurity, access indicators, all these things are the options we can choose. I cannot go to the details because of time limitations and to make the session interactive. I'll just go faster and you could still ask me later. So what are the gaps we observed in Ethiopian context compared to what I know also traveling and studying abroad and revising other documents from other countries? The major problem we face in this country is actually measuring dietary intake or food intake. Why? The first thing is lack of reference to estimate the amount of food eaten. Our food composition table, for example, have been, as I said, Ethiopia have only 10 years experience in training nutrition professionals, which means most of our nutrition initiatives are at their early stage. The number of nutrition professors we have in Ethiopia, I can count them. We have 110 million population, but I know who is a nutrition professor in Ethiopia. They are not more than 5 or 6 people. So we are starting. Our food composition table needs to be updated because it's not sensitive to all the different diversity and different menus in the country. Also, the different spices, cooking method, cooking utensils, and also our laboratory capacities and the technical staffs at different levels in the government or in different project implementing partners is not to the level of the challenges we expect from nutrition related projects. In general, nutrition assessment is not easy assessment. It's very complicated, but it needs a lot of preparation, a lot of collaboration, a lot of working together. And very recently also we have these problems emerging from food safety issues. As you know, for example, some pesticides are already been banned from market because of safety issues. But in Ethiopia, we don't have that kind of strong safety regulations and quality measurement system. So these are the gaps we observe. As I said earlier, sharing food from same plate or making the dietary recording or dietary assessment is one of the issues that we should take into account because this is a gap, this is a challenge. Families are eating together from a single plate, but we want to know how much a single individual is eating. This is one of the challenges we should address. The other gaps are, for example, religion issues. In Ethiopia, a single 24-hour recall does not actually give a clear picture of how much a person is eating per week. For example, we have weekends, fasting days, market days, and regular working days. Okay, for example, Wednesday and Friday are fasting days for most Orthodox Christians. They might have food, but they don't eat because it's because of religion. We can't be misleaded if we say on Wednesday, if we take a data on Wednesday, we might get a very meal consumption of animal source foods. This might not be the case in Kenya or in Ghana or in Nigeria or in Canada. So these are very important to note because this is a challenge. So to do a 24-hour recall, at least 4 repetitions should be done. A single 24-hour recall is not giving us a clear picture of what's happening in a given household. Also, the recall bias, as I said earlier, because people forget what they eat. All of us, we don't remember what we eat during the past 1 week or 1 month, So it's very important to have very objective kind of assessment methods. And one of the areas which we expect from this project and from future development in this area is to manage to have a concrete or objective assessment of dietary intake. And the other is social desirability bias, as I said earlier. Most projects, what we know, they use health workers or project staffs to evaluate the nutrition interventions. The same people implementing projects are also making assessment. There is a possibility that the data we get from that kind of project can be biased. And these are some of the gaps. It's a technical gap or something that project implementers can consider. Also, diversity in serving methods and utensils. In Ethiopia, as I said, we have 110 million population, people of different culture, different food habits. So we need to consider all the differences across cultures, across communities, across the agroecologies and seasonal variation. In general, there are evidence strengths relation to nutrition is very poor. I cannot say strong data is being collected. We need to work more to be able to come up with a very concrete and more sound way of measuring nutrition. So to sum up, I'm coming to the way forward. What should be done? The first thing is to strengthen the food composition table and reference databases, so that when we go out to assess, the food we get from the villages should have a reference beforehand. And the second thing is to also make a reference system for most food menus. It's very challenging. When we go to the field, we have observed a lot of foods which family members are eating, but which are not within the food composition table. There is no standard amount of nutrients and kind of very good reference which is done based on local data. So we have to get data from Kenya. Very recently, I had to do that. Sometimes we have to get data from Nigeria or from Ghana. We know these food serving methods and the food composition is not the same. And the other is to strengthen collaboration across partners. This is very important, especially for this session. Most of us are just joining this session today, and we don't know each other. So it's better to engage and to learn from each other and to join hands for a better impact. So we need to also have a national guideline and recommendation, partly in line with the food composition table. And also capacity building is really very important. We need to have a laboratory capacities, and we need to revise our curriculums based on the reality of the country. And we need to educate and empower the manpower, especially technical ability to conduct nutrition assessment is very, very important. With this, I would like to thank the host for giving me the opportunity, also for IFAD and all the partners who realized this mission to be true. And for further information or any networking, please use my email. And I'm here to answer any questions, also to hear from you, your comments and suggestions. And thank you very much, Professor Gadi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fikado. That was, there's a lot of things in there in that presentation, and I'm sure that there will be questions And so I will open it up now to a few questions.